Okay, so welcome all of you, and thanks for coming. This is the webinar for the orientation of the online statistics course, both sections actually. And I want to let you know that normally we have one webinar a week. This week we have two because right now I'm giving you an orientation. I'm not going to really talk about any statistics content at all. It's just about the class and how it works. And in fact, it's probably a little shorter than the regular webinars. Whereas tomorrow at noon, I will be giving a webinar, and that'll be content. That'll be chapters 1 and 2 and all the content of that. So today's goal is to get you acquainted with this class. And I want to really strongly recommend that if you have any questions as I go through the course, please, again, call them out or by talking or post them in the chat box. And I always keep one eye in the chat box to make sure that I answer. And I'm always happy to answer any questions that you might have. So hopefully this works for you. I found that having a synchronous webinar that allows asynchronicity is a good thing. Students usually like that, so I keep it up. And I've been doing it for a very long time. So let me talk about this class. So this is Math 201, Elementary Statistics, and actually there's two sections. I just have the showing of one of them, but they're the same. There's no difference from one to the other than the section number. But this is statistics. It is a completely online class. So you never, ever have to come to Tahoe. But I do strongly recommend that take a vacation here because Tahoe is one of the prettiest places in the world. And not about this class, but it's just, I love it and it's beautiful. So if you haven't been, I strongly recommend taking a trip to Tahoe. And you're welcome to say hi to me too if I happen to be in my office or whatever. But there's absolutely no requirement of ever coming to the college or doing anything face-to-face. Just let you know that this is truly an online class. So one main requirement is that you have internet access, because without the internet, this class will not work for you because this is online. So that's a big deal. Again, it's elements of statistics and probability. It's 5 units. My name is Larry Green. Most people call me by my first name, and hopefully, if it's okay with you, I'll call you by your first names also. And I apologize in advance because I've already done this once if I pronounce your name wrong when I read it on your list, because I don't know, pronouncing names is sometimes difficult, but I'll do my best and let me know if I pronounce it wrong or if there's an issue. So in terms of me, I've actually been teaching statistics for a very long time. Any guess on how many years? Put in the chat box if you have a guess. How many years I might have been teaching? Look at that, a few of you got it. Of course, I did say a very long time. I've been teaching statistics for 30 years. So a long time, and I've actually seen lots of changes. And the main change is no changes in the subject. The main change in statistics is technology. And we'll go over some of the technology stuff we've got throughout. And because I've been teaching this so long, I've had the chance, the opportunity to every year to add more stuff that will help you out. And that's always my goal, is to help you out, and especially online things, okay? And in fact, I've been working online for all that time, and before people had even heard of the word internet. So just let you know, I'm one of the founders of doing math online. So I've been teaching online forever, and it doesn't mean I'm perfect, but it just means I'm experienced. I usually use this email, but if you send my college email, that gets sent to this one too. And that's drlarrygreen@gmail.com. And I want to let you know that I read my email a lot, like more than is healthy, I think. So I will get back to you like very quickly. I mean, that doesn't mean that if you send it, at 11 at night, I'm not going to get back to you until morning because I'm asleep, because I'm a human. But if I don't get back to you within a day, there's a problem. That means I have no internet access for some weird reason. But I will get back to you like right away. So I'm good with that. And use my email. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Only email me if there's something that you need to ask that's somewhat personal that other people shouldn't be listening to. We're going to have a different set of communications when it's stuff that's going to help other classmates out for the course so that it could be public. But if there's something that's private and you don't want to tell other people, that's where you could email me. So if you're sick or something and you don't want to tell people you're sick, that's an email. But if it's how do you do, this particular, question that was in chapter 5, that would be something that you would post on the discussion board, which I'll show you in a little bit, because other people will benefit from learning how to answer that question, if that makes sense to you. So that's just a note in terms of communication. We're using Canvas. And my guess is most of you have used Canvas before. And I want to let you know, if you don't like the Canvas system, you can blame me partly. I was on the original statewide team to choose which system to use. And I voted, as most of us did, that Canvas was the one to use because it's a great system. So if you have any questions, let me know. And I do recommend that you take this Canvas webpage and put it in your bookmark page. It's just easier to find. And also if the college website goes down, then you'll still be able to get in. So it's a good idea to bookmark it. And we're in Canvas right now. We're in Zoom and Canvas at the same time right now. I have a live lectures and office hour login information. And I want to let you know that also is the same for what we're doing right now as it is for my office hours. And given the fact that if you're on live, then you know it because you're here. It's the link you use. The good news is, all things going good, the link will never change. And I've had the same link for, I think, over a decade. And fortunately, no one has destroyed, kind of tried to do some evil thing and made me have to change my link because they were doing evil things. So please don't do anything evil. And this link will work for the entire course. So it's the same link. There's also archive webinars, which I should probably, let me edit this because I do that once in a while and I realize this needs to be removed right now because we don't have any archive webinars yet. It's what happens when I copy and paste the last quarters. So that will be linked probably within an hour after this webinar, because what happens is that this webinar is being recorded. Once it gets recorded and gets emailed back to me via Zoom, I then submit it onto YouTube. But for YouTube, you have to have at least one video to create a list of lectures or list of videos. And so as soon as this one is recorded, then I'll have that. And then this will go there. And there'll be other places to go. And those will be the archive webinar links. So if you ever can't make a live webinar, then that's one way. There's going to be a few ways of finding it, and that's one way of finding it. I also have full-length YouTube lectures. So if I click on that one, those last for a long time, years. There are webinars here, and you'll notice, maybe, if you can count, there are 13 of them. Any guess why there's 13 webinars? I'm sorry, not webinars, 13 videos. Any guess? You can put in the chat box if you want. So why are there 13 videos for this class? Because it's important. It's not because I like throwing unlucky numbers. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there are 13 chapters in the textbook, and I made a video for each of them. And you'll notice some are much longer than others. So there's like this one that's over an hour, and this one is only 24 minutes or so. And that's because some of the chapters have a lot more content than other chapters. So the chapters with a lot more content need to have a lot more video time. So as you can see, like this one's an hour and 8 minutes. So some are longer than others. So these are available. The good news is that since I've been teaching this a long time, I have been able to post a lot of stuff up online for you. So let me go back. Also, just in case you want longer lectures than the webinars that I give, then the terrible news is we had COVID. The good news is we had COVID. No, that sounds weird. But when we had COVID, my regular non-online classes became online, but they were the same number of hours as the face-to-face class but online. So the webinars are much longer and much more detailed, and you're welcome to go to those, but you don't have to. Okay. The lecture, these lectures, but the archive webinar, what you're watching now, is a requirement to watch. So it's a good thing you're watching it now. Okay. Then I also have short introductory videos for each week. I'll let you look at those. Those are just like a couple minutes. So they're short ones just to say hi, and this is what we're doing for the week. I also have videos of worked out problems, and those mostly you're going to be clicking on while you're doing homework. Okay, I do have a link to all of them, and there are many of them. In fact, there are, so it's only 30. I thought there were a lot more than 30. It says 30, it says 30 of them, and they're shorter, they're like 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, but there's a lot more than the chapter videos. And those are how to do problems, how to do statistics problems. I also have interactive statistics. And this is a list of interactive activities. So there's some games, there's some kind of interactivity where you get to see things move and change. You get to use a calculator, all kinds of different things you can use. And there are a lot of them. There's 52 of them. And you're welcome to use those. Again, none of these are absolutely required except the webinars. But for more learning, sometimes it helps. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so the textbook. All right, one of the things that I am a strong believer in, and sorry if you don't agree, but I think that no one should have to drop the class because the book or any materials are too expensive. So what I have done is I have made sure that everything we do in this class is free. Okay, the only thing you may have to pay for is registering for the class. If you're not one of the Promise students, then you have to pay for that, but I can't do anything about that. And then, of course, you need to have internet access, and there might be a monthly fee for you to buy internet. But you can probably you can go to, if you're in Tahoe, you can always go to our college and it's free internet, or maybe your local library and, do it from there. That's fine too. But you definitely need to have internet access, but everything is free, including the book. So the textbook right here, if you click on this textbook, if you click on this link right here, then this is a textbook. The textbook is online. There is a way to do the textbook without online. This is an online class, and most of you probably have no interest in that. And you could get a print copy of it. I think I'm not even going to bother with that because I don't know if I've had anyone that really needed that. So this is the textbook. And these are the chapters. As I mentioned, there are 13 of them. See 13. And let's say chapter 2 we'll be doing tomorrow. Today and tomorrow we'll do chapter 2. You go there, and then there's sections of chapter 2. And let's say, for example, you wanted to look at the measures of the spread of the data, 2.8. Then this is the book. And the writing of the book was mostly written by Barbara Olowski and Susan Dean, but I added some things, some of the writing. So it's actually written by me too, a little bit, but not most of it. It's 100% free and open. You can do whatever you want with it. It's your book. You could hit print and take notes or whatever you feel like. Okay. And what I have done, if you look at the book, is you'll see that, it's text, 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 and then all of a sudden I've embedded the calculator into the textbook where it's kind of done. So for example, if I put in some numbers, 3, 4, 3, 6, 1, and let's say it's sample standard deviation, calculate, and it'll give the standard deviation. Okay. I also made some games. So for example, this is a game. If I hit next, then you have to guess what the standard deviation is. And it lets you know whether you're close or got it or whatever. Also, if I scroll more, throughout the book, what I've done is I have incorporated my videos into the book. So directly in the book. So as you're reading the book, it's fully interactive and multimedia, a little different than a regular textbook you might see. So that's something I thought was good. And there it is. Okay. By the way, more calculators, etc., etc. More calculators. And that's the end of that section. Okay, and again, this is just go to the syllabus and you click on the book, and that gets you there. Any questions at all about any of the materials so far for the class, the textbook or the videos?
Did you mention that we need a certain kind of calculator for this class?
Yep, and I'm going to get to that too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's under calculator, and the good news is, guess how much you're going to have to pay for it? Can you guess? Free, yeah. So everything in this class is free. Okay, so there's no price for the calculator. And I'll show you it's an online calculator. Okay, so that's most people are good with that. Most people don't want to have to pay if they don't have to, and you definitely don't have to. So you're going to want to use that calculator. I'll get there. The course description, basically statistics. The main thing about statistics is that when you do a survey, you can't ask everyone in the world. So you ask a certain group of people, and then you look at the data you get, and then you calculate and get statistics and decide how good a study you have, right? How close do you think your value is to the whole world? That type of thing. And that's really what this class is about. And one of the reason I love teaching this class is it is by far the most useful math class there is. So it's so easy to just go on the news for the day and find something that relates to what we're doing in the news. That's how useful this is. This is used in just about every major in all of academics, whether you're a psychology major, a business major, or a sociology major, whatever it might be, biology major, nursing, anything in health. Statistics is a big part of it. It's also, I use it a lot for investing money. I make money. Okay, and maybe you have no interest in making money, but I will explain how to make some more money using statistics for investments. Okay, yeah, social science, any social science, definitely you're going to be, you can use statistics with. So there's no problem finding applications to statistics, just used everywhere. So the good news is the webinars, I always try and make them, relating to what you are all interested in or what's interesting in the world today. And I make that happen. So that's the main thing about this class is it's statistics. We're going to be looking at data and analyzing it and understanding it and being able to make predictions or evaluations based on the data. Grading policy, I graded a 90, 80, 70, 60 grading policy. In terms of the assignments and what you graded on, I do something different than most other instructors. And what I found, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and what I found is that students like it. So I don't think I'm changing it unless all of a sudden all the students hate it again, but I doubt it. First thing, there are going to be regular assignments. And there's different types of assignments. Some of the assignments are going to be computerized homework, where you're asked questions on the computer system, and then you answer, and it gives you points. That's assignments. Those are the main assignments. Okay. Some of them are going to be multiple choice. Some of them are going to be you type in a number. Some are more sophisticated. You can type in a whole word, for example, all kinds of different assignments. There will be a discussion section at least once per week. This week there's two, as I'll show you in a little bit for a good reason. Okay. And those are each 10%. And then there are exams, but not like what you're used to. What you're used to, if you've had classes in college before, you're used to like a midterm and a final, or maybe 2 midterms and a final. Isn't that what you're used to? That's how most math classes are, and a lot of other classes. I decided to go away from that. And what I do now, instead of like a couple midterms and a final where you're so stressed out because your final is worth like 50% of your whole grade, and if you have a bad 2 hours, you're screwed. Okay. And the stress just gets to you. What I do instead is every other week. So on even weeks, you're going to have an exam that's worth only 10% of the grade. Okay. It's not a tiny amount, but it's not a giant amount either. So if you don't do well on one of the exams, you can still do well in the class. If you don't do well in all the exams, it won't go well for you. So you definitely, you need to do this. And the way the exams are going to work is you're going to be taking the exam, and around half the questions or so, especially later in the course, will be review questions. And the other half will be the new stuff that happened in the last week or two. And that's kind of how it's going to work. Any questions on that idea? Okay, and I'll go into a little more detail in a bit. Okay, there are projects. There are 2 projects that are also 10% of the grade. You'll notice that 10, 10, and then 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 10. Everything is 10%. Okay, there are projects that are worth 10% of each for each. And those are group projects. I'll talk about that in a bit too, because in the syllabus, I have a whole paragraph or 2 on that when I get to that. So we'll see that in a bit. So that's your grading policy. So for the exams are completely done online. Are the discussions on a specific day regularly? Kind of. So, and we'll get to that in a bit, but since you asked, I'll tell you now. So you have to do your initial post by Thursday of every week. So every week you have to post the initial post on Thursday. And then by Sunday night, you have to do a reply to someone else's post. You could do it on Saturday. You could do it on Thursday, but you can't wait till after that Sunday. And similarly, your initial post can't be after that Thursday. You could do it on Tuesday. Okay, that's fine. You can do it on Monday. No problem. Does that answer your question, hopefully? Yeah, this entire class is online. So if for any question is, are they online for whatever they corresponds to, is always yes for this course. This is an online course. Everything is online. So if you don't have a computer and online access, you can't pass this class because this is online. Okay. Yep. So again, there are no exact times you have to be in class. Again, I do webinars like this that are synchronous, but there's no requirement to attend synchronously, but sometimes it's more valuable in terms of learning to be synchronous. So if you can, go for it. If you can't, that's fine too. But by Sunday, you have to watch the webinar sometime between when the webinar is given and Sunday. Webinars, by the way, are always given Monday or Tuesday. And that gives you a lot of time. That's the idea. So I do Monday or Tuesday so that you have like at least 5 days to watch the webinar. Okay. So just note, you have 90 minutes. You have 90 minutes for each exam, for the exams. If you have a learning disability that requires more than 90 minutes, and you go to our Student Accessibility Center. Okay. Services is called SAS, Student Accessibility Services. Then they will work with you, find out, what the factor is, that how much more you need, and then I'll make it happen for you. But you have to go through them, and then they tell me, and then I make it happen. Okay, if you have any kind of accessibility issue, just let you know that. But otherwise, it is an absolute 90 minutes for each exam. Okay. And again, I'd never give extensions on due dates for anything unless they're requested by Friday before the due date. So the due dates are Sunday, but the idea is you should be working on it throughout the week. And then if you realize you're not going to be able to finish by Sunday, you send me an email on Friday, and then I'll give you an extension. And not like a month extension, but usually a couple days. If you send an email on Saturday or on Sunday, I always say no. You need to send by Friday if you want any extension. So strongly recommend, do not wait till the last minute. If you wait until Sunday to start something and something happens, like you lose internet access, you're screwed. So again, you're better off not waiting till the last minute and doing things a little earlier. And I always try to give you an extra incentive to not be a procrastinator, because that's a good life skill. Every boss likes non-procrastinators instead of procrastinators. It's just a good thing. Okay. So any questions on that? Okay. Same thing with the assignments. Okay. Oh, and just a note on the exams. Most of the exam problems are going to be computer graded, but the last few I grade. So the ones that I grade, you're going to have to write full sentences and showing you, explaining your work and all that kind of stuff. And make sure you do write the full sentences and full explanations. And then I grade it, and I grade it on how well you explained it in those last problems. And those last problems are weighted heavier than the ones that are computer graded. Just let you know that. Okay, and you'll see that when you take it. And again, exams are on odd weeks. This is week one. I'm sorry, even weeks. This is week one, so there's no exam this week. But next week is week 2. That's an even number, so you get an exam. So every even numbered week, you get an exam. This is the way I do it. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so the assignment policy, kind of the same idea. They're also due on Sunday. Don't wait till the last minute. My recommendation is, you get them done by Friday, and then if something goes wrong, you can ask for time extensions, but only if you ask by Friday. So same rule on that. Okay, the discussions. Okay, there are going to be weekly discussion assignments. This week there's 2, but one is really easy and fun. And you have to post an initial discussion by Thursday, and I recommend by Wednesday. And then, but I don't take off points if it's not by Wednesday. If it's by Thursday, you can still be okay. And then you reply to somebody's post who's not already been replied to. If someone has already replied to that person, don't reply to that person. Okay? Except for the fun ones, which I'll show you. Okay? And then you reply. Okay? Just note, during the webinars, I'm going to let you know vocabulary that is needed. Statistical vocabulary. Make sure you listen to the webinar before you reply to a post so that you can reply with the statistical vocabulary that are required in this class. So webinars are very important so that you can get that vocabulary down. I take off points if your vocabulary is not the statistical vocabulary that I tell you have to use. So just note that. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions? Again, one of the big points of these webinars is so that you can ask questions that I can answer them right away.
The exam, what if it's on a day that I'm working? Do you is there a cutoff time, a certain day that you?
So the exam, that's a really good question. So again, the exams are on even weeks. And I believe they open up on Monday. and they close on Sunday. They're 90-minute exams, and you can take them anytime between opening and closing. So you find a time that works for you, and hopefully you can find a time in those 7 days that works for you, and that's your exam. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's should be no problem. And if you have 7 days without 90 minutes in those 7 days at all, you need to get an easier schedule in your life because that would be brutal. So hopefully you can find the 90 minutes for that. This class does take a lot of time, by the way. Not because I'm mean, but there's a lot of material in this statistics class. One of the things, and again, I don't really know, and I'm going to ask you in a bit just so you can tell me. One of the things about a quarter system is instead of a semester system, semesters are like 18 weeks and we're 12 weeks, which means we have more to cover each week. But the good news is you're done in week 12 and then it's over and you can just go ahead and play or whatever and you're finished. So that's the deal, is that we do have a lot of work to do every week.
No, we straight, bro.
Okay.
It's like an orientate. Oh, this right? Oh, it's a computer part. I gotta return that motherfucker.
Right now we're in orientation, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, this is an orientation webinar to talk about what the course is about. So notice I'm not doing any statistics today. Tomorrow I'll have a webinar and do statistics, not today. Okay, there are live webinars I've already talked about, but I want to let you know that you must watch the webinar by Sunday. I've said that, but I'm going to tell you how to show that you watched it. There are going to be what I call secret word quizzes for every webinar. Notice I have not given you the secret word yet. I will give you the secret word sometime in this webinar, so pay attention to the whole webinar. It'll be very obvious during the webinar if you're paying attention what the secret word is. But you need to actually listen instead of like tune off the whole time. So you actually have to pay attention to the webinar. And the secret word quiz will have one question, and it is, what was the secret word for this week's webinar? Okay, or for the orientation webinar for this one. And you type in the word, click submit, and you've got it. So it's all or nothing. And again, there's no trick questions or anything, but you have to listen to the webinar. Okay, if you do not watch the secret word and watch the webinar and do not submit the secret word quiz or not do the secret word quiz by Sunday, then you need to watch that webinar and take detailed notes, at least 5 pages of detailed notes while you're watching the webinar, email you me the notes. And that has to be done by the basically end of the course before the final exam. Okay, before the last exam, I should say. And then I will give you credit for that webinar. But why have to do detailed 5 pages of notes if you can just write down the secret word in your time? So again, you only have to do the 5 pages of notes if you miss that secret word quiz and don't do the secret word by the end of the week. Okay. If you don't do either, okay, then you're going to lose 5% for the course. It's a big, nasty penalty if you don't watch a webinar per webinar missed. Okay. Yeah. So if you miss all the webinars, you failed this class. You have to go. You do not have to go live. You don't have to go live. This will be on YouTube, but you have to watch it. That's all I ask. And they're usually this webinar will probably be around an hour or so. The other webinars are usually about an hour and a half. The other webinars actually teach statistics, so those have to be a little longer. This webinar is just about the course. Okay, it could go a little longer than an hour, depending how many questions there are. Okay, at the end of every webinar, by the way, I turn off the recording and then I answer any questions if someone has questions that they don't want to be recorded or even talked about recorded, and then I'll be happy to answer personal questions or whatever questions at the end of the webinar. Okay, which will not be recorded, if that makes sense. Okay, and I will answer questions until you're done asking, and then I say goodbye. Is the way it'll work. That's how I do it for all the webinars. Okay, projects. This is very important. There will be 2 projects, as I mentioned, and you must work with a group of 2 or 3. but I strongly recommend 3 for a couple reasons. One is that let's say the project is 12 pages long. If there's 3 of you, how many pages are you going to have to write? Let's see if you can do the math. If the project is 12 pages long and there's 3 of you, how many pages do you have to write? Are you responsible for? Yeah, 4. If there's 2 of you, how many do you have to write?
6.
6. Hey, why do 6 when you could do 4, right? So that's one reason, is it's a lot easier if there's 3 of you, right? Then there's another even more important reason. And that is if there are 2 of you and your partner drops a class, you're screwed. Because now there's only 1 of you, and then you get, and then it's not an acceptable project anymore. If there's 3 of you and 1 person drops a class, then there's still 2 left, and you still have partners. You still have a partner. So that's just a note. You have to. If you end up only having yourself, I take a 25% penalty off of the project because you did it by yourself. So the highest grade you could possibly get is a C. Okay, and that's if you have a perfect project by yourself. It still is not a good grade. And again, most people don't have perfect projects, and you're not even going to get a passing grade. So you need to have partners. In a moment, I'll show you how to find partners, but that's in a bit. I want to go through the syllabus first. Okay, just a note, a couple things. One is I'm here to help you. And if the several days before the project is due, you send me your draft, I will read through the draft and I will give you very detailed notes. Okay, usually a list of like sometimes 10 different long sentences on how you can improve on your project so you can bring up that grade. Okay, if you don't send me the draft, then you're risking it because if you have things that aren't correct in statistics or not what I was expecting in terms of what I wanted you to do, then I just take off points and your grade goes down. Whereas if there are things that weren't good and you send me the draft, I'll let you know so that you can fix them. Okay. And you do need to send me your notes a few days before, by Thursday at 8 a.m. But I recommend doing it like Tuesday or Wednesday morning because I read them on a first come, first serve. And these projects are a lot of pages long, and there's 60 students in the class. So there could be up to 30 projects, and it may take a while for me to get back to you because, you know, reading 30 projects that are each over 10 pages long, that's over 300 pages for me to read and write notes about for you. And again, first come, first serve. So the earlier you do, the quicker I'll get back to you is the way it'll work. Okay, so that's the project. Okay, there is a Q&A forum, which I'll show you in a bit. And that is the forum to ask questions about the class that other people will help getting the answers to. So again, if it's I'm sick, it's Friday, I'm sick, can I have an extension? That send me an email because that's personal. Other people aren't going to get help by it. But if it is a question about, I don't really understand what the central limit theorem says, especially when regard to proportions, how is that different from means? That would be something to help other people with that conversation. By the way, if you have no idea what I just said, that's fine because you haven't had that week yet, but I wanted to give you what it sounds like. Okay, there's also a project discussion board forum, and that's if you have questions of the project, that's where you post it, and I'll show you that in a bit. Okay, and by the way, I look at these forums often, often, several times a day. So I will get to you, very quickly, typically. I will let you know though, and again, we all have our thing. I am an early to bed, early rise. So if you send me something at 9 p.m., I might be asleep already. I know that's weird, but there's a good chance I'll get back to you with an email at 4:30 a.m. So again, and we all have our thing. And I tend to go to sleep really early and I wake up really early in the morning. And so, don't expect a nighttime response if it's like, after 9 p.m. because I'm going to bed or asleep. But I'll get back to you early morning. So one thing is that if you have a question, for example, about the assignment that's due Sunday night, and you send me, you post something on Sunday, at 9:30 p.m., it's too late because by the time I get back to you at 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning or something on Monday, that assignment was already due. So don't wait till the last minute because then I can't help you. Okay, we're I'm a human being, so expect me to sleep, for example. But it'll never be days. It'll be, wait till the night is over. Also, I want to let you know that I teach statistics actually face to face from 10 to 2:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays. So between 10 and 2:30, unless I'm giving a test, I'm also blocked. I won't be able to get back to you because I'm teaching a class and I'm not checking the internet all the time. Okay, so that's just a note. Diversity and inclusion, the main thing is make sure you treat each other, like adults, professionally, no matter what someone says, don't get angry at them and say bad things or how they sound or whatever, be nice and professional to each other. That's all I ask. There is a link to anonymous feedback, but you can also just give me feedback and I'll help you out. But if for some reason you don't want to give your name, you're welcome to do that and that'll send me anonymous feedback. So I'll hear about the class so that I can prove it. But you're also welcome to just send me some feedback that is not anonymous, and that's fine too. But I have a link in case you want it. Again, be professional. Netiquette guidelines is links to basically tell you to be professional, but I'm not going to go into it. Okay, office hours, just let you know, I have office hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I will be on Zoom. I'll also be in my physical office if you happen to want to walk in. But again, Zoom is always fine too. And then Friday from 10:30 to 11:30. And then I'm not in my physical office. Sometimes I will be, but not always. But I'll definitely be on Zoom for those. A couple notes. A week from today, I will not be in my office hour. That's going to be a no office hour that day. So I apologize for that, but I'm taking that day off. To be honest, I'm Jewish, and that's our big Jewish holiday for the year. So it's the one day that I'm taking off. Okay. There might be a couple other days where I'm in conferences, but those I'll let you know ahead of time, but not for a while. Just let you know where I'll be offline because I'm running a conference and I do a lot of statewide national stuff. Okay. Calculators. Now for the calculator question that someone had. So again, I have a calculator that is free. I coded it myself. So it's now been used for a few years with lots of suggestions so that I made sure for the homework and the exams, you're going to use this calculator. It's called the LibreText calculator, which I called it. And because I've been using it for years, I've gotten lots of suggestions and I've fixed them. That's a good thing about me being the author of this calculator. So you have a suggestion, then I'll usually say, great, and I'll do it. So if you have suggestions on how to make the calculator better, just ask and I can code it. I am a very intense computer programmer, by the way, just let you know. And if you're a programmer, by the way, which most of you probably aren't, you don't need to be a programmer. I used JavaScript. But again, if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. What you need to know how to do is click on this and then realize that these are the things that we're going to be doing. And just to note, the way I coded this, you'll notice that there are 25 calculator links, and they are ordered in the order of this course. So I tried to make it as easy as possible. And I use words that the course uses for the calculator. So for example, you could do a normal probability calculator. You click on that and it asks for the low, that might be 4, asks for the high, that might be 9. Maybe the mean might be 2, how about 3? Standard deviation, how about 12? And the probability will be 0.1582, more decimals than you'll ever care about. Okay, so I tried to make it really easy to use. I gave you instructions, find all the values except one below and hit calculate, and it'll be given to you. By the way, if you hit refresh, then it blanks out all the rest. You can do a new one if you want. Okay, I also have a click to the scientific calculator so that you can have just, your regular calculator here. If you want to do any calculations on what I just did, if you multiply two numbers or whatever. So I have that. And I actually didn't code this one. I put this one in from Desmos. And then this button here is back to the calculator menu. And it gets sent back to the calculator. So that's calculator. Okay. And again, I tried to make it really easy to use. I will let you know that there is another calculator. And this is the calculator that you have to use for the projects. And this is a spreadsheet-based calculator. Okay, and this is what it looks like. The first thing you're going to have to do is go to File. Something just happened, sorry. What was it? There we go. You can go File, I hit the wrong button. You can hit Make a Copy, and then you're going to call out something, and it'll be yours. Okay? And you hit Make Copy. I don't want to do it because I don't need to make a copy of my own, but you'll need to make a copy so you can use it. The reason why you have to use a spreadsheet-based calculator for your projects is because there are some universities that will only accept this course for transfer if it includes a spreadsheet. So I wanted to make sure that when they email me, and I get emails, pretty much every year, that where a student, transfers to a university and they ask me, what did you use a spreadsheet for your course? And I could say yes for the project. They were required to use a spreadsheet, and then check, it gets transferred. So to me, number one requirement for me when I was building this course is to make sure that this transfers everywhere. So this transfers to every UC, every Cal State, University of Nevada, Reno, every private university that's ever emailed me. This is not like an advanced stats class. This is transfers to anywhere that requires elementary statistics. So if it's some, math major course that requires all the, mathematics behind the scenes, this does not work. But for every elementary stats class, this counts for transfer. That's the good news. Okay. And when we talk about the projects, I think next week, then I'll show you more how to do this. But for now, just trust me, this is it. This is another one. This is the one you'll use for the projects pretty much only. Again, if you have a learning disability, I gave you some links on the Disability Student Accessibility Service Center. They have an email, they have a phone number, and they're really nice, and they'll help you out and make sure it works. Okay, tutoring. Okay, so tutoring is done. You can do it online. You can also come to our college if you happen to be here, but you don't have to. And that's what's called Cranium Cafe, and there's a link to it. And there's your, I better agree to this, not that I read it. And there's a tutoring, and I'll let you play with it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there are tutors available. But more importantly, we have a very special tutor, and that is Kyle Stoker. And he just put in the chat box that his office hours are Monday and Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., Tuesday, Thursday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., and Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, and let you know that Kyle comes to the webinars. He took my class. He was my top student. So I recruited him to be this special tutor where he actually watches the webinars. He knows this class, can help you out in every way possible. And, make sure you utilize Kyle's resources. Just to let you know, if you have to be one of those that's taken the 191 course with me, that's a support course for statistics. There was a requirement to see a tutor every week. So those are Kyle's office hours for the tutoring. And there's others too, but Kyle's my number one recommendation. So make sure that you do that for that class. It's a requirement. Once a week, you have to go see a tutor and let me know who you saw and when. So that's just a note for that class, if you're in the support class. Maybe Kyle, you can talk for a moment.
Yeah. How's it going, everyone? I'm Kyle. I'm going to be looking forward to helping you out with whatever. I'll be able to look over your projects before you submit them, after Larry has looked at them, or before, whatever. Yeah, I'm just happy to help.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kyle. So again, he's there for you. So utilize his services. Okay. And by the way, I won't say your name, but someone just direct message to me to say hi, Kyle. But I don't ever say students' names on the YouTube. Let you know if you direct message me, Kyle doesn't see it. So you could direct message him or send to everyone you choose, but just let you know that. Okay. So again, this is a whole, I'm not going to go through this, but I copied and pasted what the library's librarian sent me in terms of all their information to use. And you are going to be required to use the library, not just for the tutoring they have, but also in the discussions. The library has access to journal articles where you're going to be required later on to post journal articles that involve statistics that we're doing that week. Someone else is going to have to, reply to it. And so again, the library is where you go for that. And that's ltcc.edu/library. Okay. Or just go to the library, the Lake Tahoe Community College's page, scroll down the bottom, click on library. Okay. And I'll show you later how to get to the journal articles. I don't think today you don't have to do that. Okay. Here are some links to get help with Canvas. Don't cheat. That's what this says on honesty. Please don't cheat. Okay. Any questions about the syllabus before I move to the modules? Okay, let's go to the modules. So if I click on modules, and after week 1, by the way, the home page becomes the module page instead of the syllabus page. Week 1, I keep as a syllabus page because that's what you want to look at first. And then after that, you want to look at first the modules. And the modules I've done week by week. So, and also I have course information, which has all the stuff I just talked to you about on the syllabus, in case you want to look at it that way. But if you go to week 1, then you'll see all kinds of things. So if you click here, first one, this is the little video. By the way, if you know our campus well, I did this video a long time ago, but nothing's really changed. Other than the background looks real different than the college now. Just let you know that. Click next. This is the orientation webinar, and you'll notice that it has a time and date. It has a link to where you are right now in the how to click on to get into the webinar. Once this is recorded, obviously it's not recorded yet because we're not done, so I can't post on YouTube yet. Once it is on YouTube, then I copy and paste the YouTube link to the webinar. So you'll be able to see it going to here, but it's not there yet because we're still in the middle of the webinar. It's not done yet. It'll be by tonight, hopefully. If not, it'll be tomorrow morning. So sometimes it takes a while, but usually tonight or usually the night of. Okay. And then there's a webinar for tomorrow. And again, right now, there's nothing here to see the webinar other than the link to it, but it'll eventually be recorded and I'll post that too. If I hit next again, here's student learning outcomes. I'll let you read through them. Hit next again. This is a link to the textbook, the chapter 1 textbook. So just in case you want, to quickly get there, that's another way. If I hit next again, that's chapter 2. And just note, if you don't want to have to go through all of these, you want to go to certain things, you can hit module. And then you can go to, whichever link you want instead of just scrolling through next. you can also go direct to something. Okay, so again, we had the chapter 1 and chapter 2. Here's the videos, full-length video in chapter 1. And if I click on that, it sets it. This is a video, etc. And that'll give you the chapter 1 video. Okay, next, you get chapter 2 video. Just want to kind of show you what the course looks like. Okay, next again. Just in case you want the short videos, these are the short videos for this week. Next again. These are PowerPoints that go with the videos. So sometimes people like to print the PowerPoints out and then take notes as they're watching the videos if you want. That's up to you. So I try to make sure that there's stuff there to use. I've been teaching this a long time, so I have a lot of materials. Here's more PowerPoint. That was chapter 2 PowerPoint. Okay, then what we have is the orientation secret word quiz. Let me show you how that works. So I think I need to go to student view. So I have to go home because I want to show you what it looks like. If I go student view, this is what it looks like for you, because what it looks like for me is different than what it looks like for you. And then if I go to modules again, you'll see in here in week 1, you have the content, but you also have assignments. Here's orientation secret word quiz. Click on it. And I'm going to click begin. There's no time limit. It's due in 6 days, it says. And the question is, the secret word for the orientation webinar was, and you got to type in the answer. Okay, so I want you all to listen. Hopefully, you're going to agree with me by the end of this class that this is going to be the most useful math class that you've ever taken. So the secret word for this week's orientation, this course orientation, is useful. So all of you, on a piece of paper, write down the word useful. That is the secret word for this webinar. Got it? Okay, make sure you put that on a piece of paper. Useful. And then you hit submit. And once you hit submit, then it's set, and then you're done. Any questions at all on the secret word? Okay, there's no tricks. That's it. Write it down on a piece of paper so you don't forget it. Okay. All right, so now let me reset the student. Actually, leave student view. And now let's go back. Let's go back to modules. And by the way, that's the last time I say the secret word. I only say it once in the thing. So now, just let you know, that's a secret word. Here's week 1, 2 truths and 1 untruth. If I click on that, then this is the fun one. No one should get less than a 10 out of 10 on this particular exercise, because all you have to do is do it. Please introduce yourself by stating 2 truthful facts about yourself and 1 thing that is not truthful. You will see if other students can guess what are truthful and what is not truthful. Then respond to at least 1 student's list to see if you can figure out which are truthful and which are not truthful. Okay, this is one of the few ones where you can respond to more than 1 person. Okay, and I recommend you should. You can respond to everybody because it's fun. It's getting to know each other. Finally, after someone has responded to your list, comment on whether that student was correct, and then write about how you plan on using statistics in your future coursework or career. Please post the link by Thursday or earlier so that students have enough time to respond. Okay, so what you do is you hit this reply button, the very first reply button. In here, you type in your 2 truths and 1 untruth. I know it looked like I typed really fast, but I didn't want to waste your time, so I copied and pasted it from what I did ahead of time. So here are mine. Here are my 3 truths in parentheses, because not in quotes, because they're not all truthful. See if you can guess which one is not truthful. 1. Okay, I personally disconnected the communication system for the space shuttle, making it stay in orbit an extra day. 2, my YouTube channel has almost 1 million views. And 3, I was a politician for 9 years, winning my first election by just 3 votes. Okay, 2 of those are true. 1 of those is not. By the way, you do not lose points for guessing wrong. Okay, you lose points for not guessing anybody's. But you could guess mine too. Okay, by the way, what you got to remember always to do is hit post reply. If you forget to hit post reply, then it doesn't happen. And then what I recommend is scroll down here on the first one in this class, to this section, to do it. Make sure that it happened. Scroll down and make sure it's there. Okay, and also when you reply to someone, make sure it's there. And to reply to someone, you hit reply on their piece. Don't hit this reply to reply to someone else. Hit this reply. And then you can decide which are truth, which is the not truthful one. Okay, that's just fun and easy. I'm going to cancel because I'm not going to reply to myself. But I always like to, post an example. So by tomorrow, by the way, I'll also have tomorrow's thing posted. I usually do it just before the webinar. Any questions on how the discussions work? Any questions? Okay. Just to note, if I go click discussion, this is important. You'll see under the discussions, pinned discussions, you'll see week 1, 2 truths and 1 untruth, and week 1 survey design. I always have the assignments that you have to have a discussion on pinned. I also have a Q&A forum. That's Q&A stands for question and answer. And if you have any questions, you hit reply, and then you ask your question, and then hit post reply. I don't have a question, so I'm going to hit cancel, but make sure that that's how you do Q&A. It's easy, and I'll read it. Okay, and then always read to make sure it came out the way you wanted it to. Okay, there are ways to put in math equations and all kinds of things. Okay, also in the discussions, there's a Project 1 discussion forum. Here's what you should be doing the next couple days. You should be posting something like this. I am looking for a Project 1 partner. And actually, you want a couple of them. And maybe you want to say, I want to get started early. So please partner with me if you also want to get started early. Okay, and then you hit post reply. I'm not going to because I don't need a partner because I don't have to do a partner project. I actually read your projects. So you should do that, and then you can reply to someone else's post if someone else has done it before you, and say, hey, I want to be your partner. Let's be partners. And someone else could reply and say, hey, can I be the 3rd person? And then you have a partner of 3. You see that? And you could share information or whatever. Any questions on that? Any questions? Okay, so that's an important thing to note, is that's the way you find partners for your project. It's the best way. Okay. And again, 3 of you is better. Do not wait weeks from now to do that. Do that this week, or it'll be hard to find partners. So make sure you do not procrastinate on partner finding. Okay. And if you find out everyone else has found partners and they're all in groups of 3 and you can't find anyone, you email me or post on Project One discussion board, but then also email me and I'll help you. But try on this first. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. If you go to week 1, we've already gone through those. There are assignments, chapter 1, sampling and data assignments. I'm going to hit start, and this is what they look like. These are, questions that can come in, and let's say identify the type of data that would be used to describe a response. Number of students enrolled at Skyline College. So let's say you chose qualitative. Okay. Again, right now you probably have no idea because you haven't even thought about this class yet. And if I hit submit question, bad, I got it wrong, 0 points. So here's the good news. You are always allowed to try another question that's similar with the same ideas. It won't be the same question. And if I go get a similar question, now identify the data that would be used to describe the response, amount of body fat. It's a different example, but if you had studied the stuff and learned about it, then you would know that that is quantitative continuous. If I submit question, I got it right. And now you have 100% on that question. Even though you got your first try wrong, if you get your second try right, you get 100%. So you better get A's on each of these assignments because you can try over and over again. Any questions on that? Okay, I want to let you know that more than half, like 2/3 or so of the points on the exams are going to come from these assignments. So make sure you understand all of these problems so that when you take the exam, you can do well. And just to note, they're all randomized. Okay, so you and your classmates will get different questions, but always with the same learning. Okay, the same ideas, but different questions. The numbers will be different. Sometimes the words will be different, but the ideas will be the same. So make sure that you understand all the ideas for each of these assignments. Any questions on how these assignments work? Okay, and by the way, this one has 15 questions. And you should do them all. Okay, and there's another multiple choice. Some are multiple choice, some are not. Here's one that you have to type in numbers. Okay, and this is all in the book and it's in the videos. So you'll be able to do these, but you might need help. And make sure you learn it so that when you take the exam, you can get them right. On the exam, you only get 1 try. 1 try for each question. You don't get to try it again. Okay, so this is like a big practice for the exam. Any questions on how that works? Okay, so that pretty much is all the stuff for this class that you'll need, the ideas of the class, not the content. I haven't done any content. Just a reminder, tomorrow at noon, we will have our webinar. And that'll be on chapter 1 and 2, and that's actually statistics. I didn't talk about any statistics today. All I did was, go over what you have to know to navigate through the class and what the expectations are, but we didn't do any statistics. Tomorrow will be a statistics webinar. So what I'm going to do is I am going to stop the recording, so that all of a sudden you don't have to worry about if you worry about being private or whatever after that. It doesn't go on YouTube. But let me hit stop the recording and I'll tell you when it stopped.